Hello everyone and welcome to a very cold day but a very popular small SUV, which is the new 2025 Nissan Rogue. So the new Nissan Rogue is offered in 5 different trims: S, SV Moonroof, SV Premium, SL and then the Platinum. And the one that I'm reviewing is the 2025 Rogue Platinum, which is the top of the line model, and this paint job, which is the Baja Storm. So it looks much more rugged in this paint job itself, but there are a lot of chrome bits also because this is the top of the line variant. So let me begin with the grille here. So there is this V motion design grille with these horizontal chrome slits on it, then the Nissan badging in the middle, and then glossy black plastics all around. The car is slightly dirty because I've had this car for 3 weeks now. Just before Christmas I was loaned this car, and yeah, there has been constant rain, snow. I washed it and then again it rained or snow, so again it got dirty. So yeah, just bear with me. I mean, I like this car how it looks like this. It's meant to be dirty because it's a little bit of an off-roader, so it gives you that feel, and also with this paint job. And let's continue. At the bottom there is another big opening at the bottom for extra bit of cooling. So that's in normal plastic, but the top side is in glossy plastic. At the bottom there is grey color plastic, and then there are these split headlight cluster. The top bit is the DRLs. On the inside also there is a bit of chrome too, and the same DRLs, which are the LED DRLs on top, convert into the turn signals also, and the main headlight cluster sits out here. There are no fog lights or anything, and then there are these openings on either side. So these are the functional vents. Air goes in there and comes out and helps in the brake cooling. Also there is also one of the cameras here for the safety system, so pedestrian warnings, and the Pro Pilot Assist 2.1 that comes on this Rogue too. But the biggest change on this 2025 Rogue is what sits under the hood, which is a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. Now on this Platinum variant of the new Rogue, there are these 19-inch dual tone alloy wheels, multi-spoke. Then there are these extra skirtings on the fender, which is in glossy black plastic, and also the roof is in black too. So there is a dual color option also on this one. At the bottom again more skirting, which is in glossy black plastic with the chrome strip on the sides. Even in the back there is this glossy black skirtings provided on the fenders too, so that those arches are protected whenever you go light bit of off-roading on this Rogue. And as standard now, the Rogue is offered in the all-wheel drive option only and not the front wheel drive, and at least for now on Nissan's official website. In Canada it shows as an all-wheel drive option only. When you come to these side mirrors, these are glossy black side mirrors. They are non-power foldable, they are power adjustable, they have the blind spot warning on the inside and also the turn signal on the edge, and one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system. Then the doors are the keyless entry doors, only the front ones, and there is also one chrome strip on the top side of these windows. There are silver color roof rails also, but in terms of the overall length and the shape and the width of the car, there is nothing that has changed compared to the 2024 variant. So on this new Rogue, there are these combination of LED and halogen tail lights. So the turn signals, the reverse lights, all of that is in halogen, whereas the main signature brake lights are in LED. There is also another light bar given on this black color small spoiler that has been provided on the back too. At the bottom there is normal plastic bumper that goes from one end to the other, along with a chrome strip which is slightly on the dirty side. Not slightly, actually a lot dirty. As I said, it's been snowing, it's been raining. I've cleaned the car and again it's gotten to this state. Again it's gonna snow a lot over the weekend too. And then there is a single exhaust that sits behind the bumper, and in terms of the badging, there are these Nissan logo in the middle, the Rogue badging, which is in dark grey, Platinum and all-wheel drive again in grey color. In terms of the visibility, it's actually pretty decent on this because the rear glass is much more vertical, so you get a lot of visibility through that. You can easily see 3 lanes, the middle and the lanes around that too. Now because this is a Platinum variant of the Rogue, so you can swipe your leg and open the trunk door. So if you have a lot of shopping bags in your hand, it's much more easier to operate this trunk door. And if you notice, there is a stroller to just demonstrate you how much there is space, which is quite a lot for a small SUV. So when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 36.3 cubic feet of luggage in the back, which is pretty decent for a small SUV. So let me just remove this and show you the full space. So there you go, there is a lot of space. There is also carpeting provided, and these are the adjustable carpets, so you can remove these cardboards and then basically, I don't know where will you put them, so yeah, either leave them in your garage. And the front one is also a lockable one, so in case you want to lock it or you want to increase the space, you can do that too. There are also scuff plates, plastic ones, provided in the back too. Also a trunk separator which sits here too, so let me just put that. So yeah, if you want cargo privacy, that can also happen. And let me remove, because there is no space to put actually this cargo separator anywhere, so it just sits inside the car like this, so it will stay with you all the time. Again, you can leave it in your parking also. So in order to fold down the rear seats, they are foldable in a ratio of 60:40. Now one of the seats has a child seat, but there are levers provided in the back for extra convenience. You pull them and fold down these seats, or there are also levers provided on the seat itself, so in case you want to do that from the rear seats, you can do that too. Now when the rear seats are folded, you can put 74.1 cubic feet of luggage. Again, the floor itself is quite flat, so there is a lot of stuff that you can load in and out. And also the trunk opening is quite low and there is not much step here, so it's going to be very easy to slide the luggages in and out too. And underneath the trunk floor sits a temporary spare wheel also, and on the side sits the jack and all your tools, which is on the left side. And after you're done using the trunk space, in order to close the trunk door, again swipe your leg and let the car close the trunk door. It is super cool. I'm going to go inside and let's start looking at the interior. Now the inside of the new Rogue is much more posh and refined. So in terms of the material quality, there is soft touch material on the dashboard. On the top side, again it's soft touch material throughout. Only in the back side there is just normal plastic. The door cards also have soft touch material on the top side, even on the side face. Where are going to be resting hands, that's also leather covered, and the switches, they have this plastic piece around that is meant to look like brushed aluminium. Only some normal plastics in between. At the bottom, again normal plastic, but the quality of plastic is definitely much better than the previous generation. Even on the other side, the same thing. And there are like couple of mood lights given on just the passenger and the driver side door, and also one of the mood lights given near the wireless charger. That's about it. There is also this empty storage underneath this center tunnel. Even that tunnel on the side has leather covered and also white color stitching too. Then this main infotainment screen, the driver's display, and this leather covered steering wheel, also glossy plastic around the air conditioning, and then this whole center console out here where there is brushed aluminium design plastic on it too. I don't mind because it actually looks quite well on this Rogue. And there is also this wooden inserts given on the dashboard and even on the driver side, a small piece. But yes, overall the whole combination of this interior feels quite posh. As I said, the only thing is that if they had made the upper side of this roof and the pillar also in the black or this gray color, whatever it is, then it would have actually looked like a single, sort of cabin experience. So that would have elevated the entire look of the interior, but nonetheless, even on this level, whatever they've given, that is actually pretty good. Now when we come to the driver's display, so there is a 12.3-inch digital driver's display provided on this platinum variant of the Rogue, and there are two dials on either side, digital ones. So on the left side there's RPM counter, on the right side there is the speedometer digital, and in the middle there is digital speed, and you cannot change the information in the middle of those dials as it used to happen in the previous one. So it's better because you don't need to change so much of information also, but in the middle you can definitely change a lot more information. So in order to change that information, the buttons are provided on the left side of the steering wheel and also a scroller dial. So the first display is blank if you want to leave it into that, or you can see the compass and also the media information. Then you go to the right, then there is the drive computer, auto refuel average, then there is the manual one, then the manual 2, then we go to the right, then the tire pressure, then there is the auto start stop, how much fuel you saved, then the intelligent 4x4, the power distribution, then the variable compression turbo that this comes with, how much compression pressure you're building up, that shows you in real time. And we are back into tire pressure. Then the Google Maps, yes, this thing comes with integrated Google's operating system, Android. Then the compass, then we go right, media options, then the safety options, blind spot warning and everything, then the menu, and then the speed limit sign. Or you can press even on the steering wheel, on the right side, the Pro Pilot Assist button, you press that, which is also for the adaptive cruise control, so it's dual. Press that, you can go into the same screen. Then the detailed settings, in which there is the VDC setting, which is for the traction control, driver assistance, heads up display, eco mode setting, tire pressure, clock, vehicle settings, inside which there is light, clock, wipers, driving position, so many different options on the inside. Maintenance, then customized display, where you can select the main menus, what you see on the screen, add, remove, all of that. Pro Pilot Assist display, welcome effect, unit language, factory reset, and we are back into the main menu options. And you can even change the layout of this driver's display. So the button again is given on the left hand side, press that and change the meter view. So the dials become like more 3D and they go on to the corners, whereas the information becomes big, and then you can cycle through the same set of information on the center screen too. The only place where I like is when it's like maps, but I still feel like the maps are not fully utilizing that screen because of the smaller dials. They could have occupied a bigger space, maybe an improvement in like an update into the system, and that might start showing you a bigger maps too, because yes, there is that space, otherwise it's just blank space around. We come back to the same standard view. I like that. So I like the meter view on the new Nissan Kicks. So you can click on the pop-up banner out here and you can watch that detailed review video of the 2025 Nissan Kicks, where there is a different sort of arrangement on the driver's display. But yes, that's how you operate the driver's display on this new Rogue. Now when we come to the steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel. It's a flat bottom steering wheel with paddle shifters, but that is a CVT transmission, so yeah, I doubt we'll be using these plastic paddle shifters. And then there are buttons provided on either side, and the steering wheel is manually adjustable, tilt and telescopic. Pretty smooth in terms of its operation compared to a lot of other cars. And on the right side there are buttons provided for the adaptive cruise control and the Pro Pilot Assist option also, and the phone answering and cutting, and also the voice controls. And on the left side there are buttons provided for changing the information on the driver's display and also the media control. So they are quite grouped up on either side too, and not like split up, so it's just easier to operate also. And it's a very slim steering wheel, so I like holding it, like how it feels in the hands. Now when we come to the air conditioning control, straightforward button operated air conditioning system is provided on this new Rogue. So there are dials given on either side, and on the left side there is on and off buttons. So you get tri-zone air conditioning system on this new Rogue. You can just adjust the temperature for the rear passengers, that's about it. So dials on either side to change the temperature, and then the buttons for the rear, they are marked also to change the temperature too. Then the buttons for the fan speed, and then the flow of air and everything, and there are also buttons given on either side for the heated seats. So the driver and the passenger side seats are the heated seats. There is also a button given for the heated steering wheel also, but that sits on this air conditioning control itself. But yes, again, straightforward operations of this air conditioning control, very easy, and yes, it's all dials and buttons, so nothing inside the infotainment screen. Now when we come to the infotainment screen, so this is a 12.3-inch infotainment system provided on this Rogue. There are also buttons and dials given too. So the dial is for the volume and on and off, and the track changer, and also the change of the brightness of the screen, and also a camera button too. So 360-degree cameras, you can press this button and call on the 360 cameras at any point of time, and then you can see the different views. But there's also a 3D view too, so you can see the front. But yes, it needs a little bit of fine tuning because it's slightly loaded, I feel, and it slows down a little bit, and also the graphics can be improved a little bit. And the cool feature on this one is when you press the 3D option, then the views will be circulated automatically. 360 will be shown around, so if you're in a parking lot, it's just easier to gauge where all the vehicles and where you park. So yeah, that's a neat feature. And then we come to this infotainment screen. As I said, this is a 12.3-inch infotainment screen, and it operates on Google's Android operating system. So the screen has a lot of graphics going on the system itself. Like, yeah, like if you try to like swipe it, yeah, it just would move because there is quite a lot of graphics going on too. So it slows down the system slightly. Now the first option is the navigation, but you can long press that and you can adjust the widgets that you see on the main screen and customize it like however you want them to see on your screen also. So the first option is the inbuilt Google Maps. So I like this idea because it's just much more easier to get used to it, and you don't have to relearn another set of maps how they function, but this is just Google Maps, so very easy, straightforward. Then the next option is the radio, which you can change. Then the device options, add connections, then the connections options. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using wireless, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and also there's Bluetooth and the USB options. Then the guest mode or the user mode, and then the apps, because this thing comes with Google's operating system, Android system, so you can add apps also to this system too. Then the Amazon Alexa, My Q Garage to schedule and get a view of how your car is doing, and also schedule more things like if you want to switch on the car, if you want to switch off the car, if you want to heat the car, cool the car, all of that can be done from there. And you can even add more widgets to this also. And at the bottom on the left side there is notifications, so if you want to see anything in terms of notifications, those will be shown. Then the all settings options, where there is like general display, vehicle, all of that, accessibility, privacy. And then the quick settings, where there is brightness, then the sound system. So in terms of the music, there are like Bose surround sound system provided on this Rogue. It sounds pretty good on the inside, especially with the improved build quality. The sound quality has also improved too. Then there is vehicle hotspot and everything. And then there are also shortcut buttons provided on the left side for the home, and then there is the location, then the media source, phone, then the Google Assistant. Hey Google, can you change the temperature to 21?
Okay, changing the temperature to 21 degrees.
So Google Assistant can help you change a lot of things on the inside of this car, media, air conditioning and everything. So it's very well integrated also. And then the apps option, where you will see Android app, My Q Garage, all of these options on the inside also. And then the all settings that we saw before also, general display, vehicles, all of it. So that is the infotainment screen. It's slightly on the slower side, as I said, but I like the integration because it's Google's Android operating system, so it's just very easy to understand this system also. And another car that had the Android operating system was the Volvo EC40. So you can click on the pop-up banner out here, you can watch the detailed review video of that car too. Now when we come to the charging, so there are two USB Type-C ports and one 12-volt power socket given underneath the air conditioning control, and for the rear passengers there are two Type-C USB ports. Now on this new Rogue there are these extendable sun visors. There is also a panoramic sunroof provided on this. I'm not going to open the actual roof because it's so bloody cold. Right now it's showing me -3 on my driver's display, and the actual temperature will be way lesser than that because it's also quite windy too. And on this new Rogue there is also the heads-up display provided, pretty crisp and clear, and in order to switch it on and off there is a button given on the left side, so you can switch it on and off too from here, very convenient. And also the steering assist button, the ProPilot assist button, is also given next to that, so you can switch it on and off, so that's also placed there. And in order to change the settings on the heads-up display, to adjust it you have to go into the settings option on the driver's display and then the heads-up display, where you can change brightness, height, rotation, contents, where navigation, driving assist, speed limit, audio and the SMS, all of that can be switched on and off from inside. So that's how you adjust the heads-up display, pretty bright and crisp as I said. Now when we come to the storage, so on this Rogue, in the door cards you can easily put 1.5 liter worth of bottle and some more storage on the side, like very little storage on the sides. Then you can utilize this wireless charger also to put your phones and wallets. There are two flexible cup holders too. There is this big storage at the bottom, like a cutout provided underneath the center tunnel, so there also you can put your books, purses, phones while they are charging. There is this storage in the center armrest, again that's also leather covered but double door, so they open on either side. You can close one of it or open both of them, but it's got smaller storage but deeper one, so you can put like 1 to 2 half a liter worth of bottle on the inside also. Then there is this glove box also, and it just gradually drops down, so it just doesn't suddenly go down. Same on the passenger side also, 1.5 liter worth of storage, and there's also a sunglass holder provided too. There is also an SOS function, which is like a button provided on the roof for emergency purposes also. And in the rear door cards you can put 1.5 liter worth of bottle, and in the center armrest there are two more cup holders. Now on this new Rogue there is this sliding shifter, very easy to use, so put it into D, neutral or reverse, slide it and then press the park button. And there's also a dial given in the back for the various driving modes. So there are 5 different driving modes provided on this Rogue. So there is an off-road, snow, auto, eco and the sport mode. Sport actually improves a lot in terms of the response. I'm going to come to that when we go into the driving, because eco slows down the car a lot, but leave it in auto and let the car figure out for everyday usage. Now when we come to these seats, so these are black color leather seats, and they are perforated seats in the back and also at the bottom, but they are just the heated seats, not the cooled seats. And in terms of the overall comfort, they offer a lot of it because they are quite soft and squishy overall, and it's especially for leather seats. And also there is quilting provided on the bottom and the back side of the seat too. The headrests, they are also on the softer side, even though they are slimmer, but they are quite soft too. And there is good amount of side support, not like very sporty kind of support, but you don't need that for everyday usage, but good amount to go when you go into cornering, then it will support your side also. And even at the bottom there is nice amount of side support, and underneath my thigh there is good amount of support too, because there is a bit of an extension to these seats, not just for the driver but also for the passenger too. So yeah, for longer journeys these seats are going to be quite comfortable for cruising. Especially I've driven this car for nearly 3 weeks now, and I feel like usually if you drive a car longer, you understand it quite well, and this is one of the comfortable cars for sure. Now in terms of the adjustment, so the driver's side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 2-way lumbar adjustment, whereas the passenger side seat is 4-way electronically adjustable. Now in the rear of this new Rogue, journeys are going to be quite comfortable for the rear passengers, especially with these leather seats, because they are quite soft on the back side too. Now in terms of the overall room, so the driver side seat is in my driving position, and after that there is almost a palm worth of knee room, and the headroom is also pretty decent. There's a bit of a cutout to increase the head space, so someone about 6 feet can still fit into these seats also. And you actually sit slightly on the lower side, but not too much low where you feel like the shoulder line of the door is way above, but in a very decent positions. The only thing is that there is a bit of an inclination to these seats, but I've tried adjusting it a little bit, that you can do, so you can increase that level of the recline, and after that it makes things much more comfortable. But for longer journeys you can definitely go into a much relaxing positions by reclining the backrest. And there is not much space also underneath the driver's seat to stretch your legs, but it's fine because there's ample of room otherwise, so it makes things feel quite spacious on the back of this Rogue. Now in terms of the seats, so the seats are the same black color leather seats. They have quilted design at the bottom and also in the backrest, and they are the perforated seats, but they are not the cool seats, but they are the heated seats. So the passengers on either side get the heated seat, but not the middle seat. There are 3 headrests. The middle headrest is slightly on the slimmer side, but again the headrests are also quite soft, and the seats themselves are also quite soft, but just that it misses a little bit of under thigh support because of the way they are sort of placed on the lower side. But nonetheless they are again quite broad, just like the front seat, so 3 passengers can easily fit into these seats. Now there is also a slight bit of step, like a tunnel, provided in the back, but not too much to hinder the middle passenger. So if you are sitting in the middle, again the seats are quite comfortable, only the backrest is slightly on the harder side, but still it's quite softer than many of the cars that I've sat in, especially these small SUVs. And the reason being that there is like a handrest with 2 normal cup holders. It's also quite long enough, so you can put your hands also on it and also have the cups placed inside them. In terms of the door card quality, there is plastic now on the door cards. Only on the side face there's just soft touch material. When you're going to be resting hands, that's leather covered with the white color stitching, and also this plastic trim around the switches that is meant to look like brushed aluminum. In terms of the storage, you can put 1.5 liter worth of bottles in the door card. That's about it. There's also the sun shade or the sun blinder, so that's provided in the back for extra bit of privacy. Then there are pocket storages provided in the driver and the passenger side seat. There are 2 air conditioning vents provided in the back, and also a control to adjust the temperature, and there are buttons provided for the heated seats, as I said, for either side of the passenger. But overall the windows are actually quite big and tall and broad, so the visibility throughout is much more nicer, complemented with this panoramic sunroof. So things look a lot more airy and comfortable on the back of this new Rogue. So this 2025 Nissan Rogue is now powered by a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder variable compression turbocharged engine that produces 201 horsepower and 225 pound-feet of torque. And this engine is mated to an Xtronic CVT transmission that sends the power to all the wheels via a clever, intelligent all-wheel drive system. So let me first come to the engine and the transmission, because as I mentioned, I've had this car for a good 3 weeks. So when I picked this car up for the first time, the response was, to be honest, quite slow at first, and then I thought like, it's just gonna be very underpowered for a car this big. But then sometimes you really got to spend a longer time to understand how this car functions on a day-to-day basis, and I've had the chance to experience exactly that. So let me first begin with how it drives on a day-to-day basis. It drives actually very good within the city, even on highways. There is good amount of torque and power, but if you want to cruise, it's fine. But if you want to accelerate, then it takes good half a second to decide. When I put my right foot, floor it, and then it takes a little longer, and then you can sense the car is kind of struggling after that. And this is just in the normal mode right now, and it's doing that because if you put this car into eco, then it really slows down the response. But yes, on a day-to-day basis it's very good, but I still find it slightly underpowered on many occasions, and especially at lower RPMs the engine kind of struggles a little bit. And the torque actually comes at 4000 RPM, the peak torque, and the peak power comes in at 5600 RPM. So that's slightly higher numbers at which the engine starts performing. But yes, it's the variable compression turbo is for that, but it takes a little while even to adjust according to the driving style. So let me put this in the sport mode, because remember I had told you like sport mode is something that changes the behavior of this car, and it actually does. This engine becomes a little more responsive, but at the same time, yes, you will consume a higher amount of fuel also if you want a lot of response from this engine. But yes, now this engine suddenly feels a lot more powerful, and also gets a little more loud also while accelerating, because it's trying to change the gear at much higher. So the CVT is trying to do that. But if I put it in the normal, again there is a delay because the CVT also takes its time to adjust when you floor the throttle. So yes, that's a sort of compromise you have to do for the driving. But yes, I still, as I said, sometimes feel that a little more power is required, or just the response from the engine, because I do find the engine struggling slightly sometimes. Now in terms of the efficiency, because it's a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, but on longer runs I've managed to get around 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers, and driving it extensively over mixed conditions like city, outdoors, everywhere, I managed to get around 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So yeah, I would say like it wouldn't make that much of a difference, the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder engine. And then again, the 3-cylinder engine also makes at a lower RPM a little bit of a clunky sound too. And I find that there is some amount of at lower RPMs a little bit of rattling going on when you try accelerating, because the car is slightly hesitant and then it takes back the power, especially if you put it on the cruise control at lower speeds between 30, 40 and 50 kilometers. It's not evenly powered, but it removes the power, it puts in the power again, and then yeah, it keeps varying that. So it's not a very constant power that's usually given. Now when we come to the suspensions, they are on a very comfortable side and very well balanced. The roll is very well kept under control. There is independent multi-link suspension in the rear. So yeah, the ride quality is actually very good with these suspensions, and clubbed with that these tires, which are the winter tires, so that adds another cushion to the ride quality also. Now when we come to the steering, again the steering is pretty good in terms of its weight and in terms of its performance, in terms of its feedback. It's very responsive. It's just that at initial angles there is a bit of a dead zones around it, but once you cross that, then it's fairly lightweight to use for everyday use, and also it turns pretty well. There is good amount of feedback from the system also. And if you change it to different driving modes, it just doesn't change that much, because I haven't had any change in terms of the steering feel or ability, but it remains pretty much constant. So but it's pretty good even in the normal mode too. Now when we come to the brakes, so there are 4-disc brakes on this 2025 Rogue, and in terms of the performance, they are quite sticky. Gosh, today is a very windy day, so the car actually feels very stable and planted, even though like outside everything is flying around. But yes, coming to the brakes, the brakes themselves are quite grippy, but the pedal itself has a bit of a dead zone initially. So when you press, there is not much going on, and then eventually at the end, towards the end of the pedal, is when the braking action happens. So you have to calibrate a little bit on that side. Now when you come to the noise and the vibrations, this is again an area where it's surprisingly very quiet. Some of the rattling that you're hearing is because of the child seat that I've put in the back, but the car itself is super quiet. Like, there's not much wind whooshing, and the tire noise itself is well kept under control, and the cabin itself feels quiet on the inside, and the build quality surprisingly seems very good right now. So nothing is loose or rattling or as such. So yes, and I've picked this car up nearly brand new. It was at 325 kilometers driven, and I've added about 900 kilometers. So I've driven extensively to be able to get you, this sort of precise performance and overall day-to-day living with this car. Now, when we come to the safety system, so there are several airbags, by the way. So there are 2 airbags for the front driver and the passenger. Then there are also side airbags given for the driver and the passenger, and also for the rear passengers also on either side. Then there are also curtain airbags given in the frames. Then there are also 2 knee airbags for the driver and the passenger. There's also 1 middle airbag given on the driver side for the middle passenger in the rear. So even that's been given too. Then there are child isofix points in not just the rear seats on either side, but also in the middle seat. Then there is also a 360-degree camera system. The output from that can be improved, and the fact that while reversing you cannot use the 3D mode is a bit surprising, because I wish that was included. Because without that, if you call manually the camera, you can use the 3D feature where you can rotate and see around, but yes, not while you put it into the reverse and get that view. And you can still select a couple of views also from the 360-degree cameras. There's also ABS. There's also the Pro Pilot Assist 2.1 adaptive cruise control. Then there is the tire pressure monitoring system. Then the front collision warning, rear collision warning, the pedestrian warnings, all of those safety systems. Then the lane keep assist, lane departure warning, steering assist, everything is given in terms of the safety, and this is the Platinum variant. So top of the line, loaded with every single safety feature. Now when we come to the pricing, so the base variant, which is the S all-wheel drive, starts from $36,785, whereas this top variant Platinum all-wheel drive comes in at $48,385. Now in terms of the pricing, I get it, like the top trim is quite a hefty price to pay, but against that, to be honest, there is a much more refined car underneath now. On the inside, yes, it's a quiet space, especially for longer cruises. It's going to be very good, and the design hasn't been changed a lot, as I said, not really anything, to be honest. So I mean, the design itself looks quite good and rugged, and in terms of the off-road performance also, because there is an all-wheel drive system, it will do light bit of off-roading, but do not expect it to be like a very heavy rock crawler or anything. But light bit of off-roading, yes, it will be able to do, because it's got the all-wheel drive, especially in the snowy conditions, slippery conditions. That all-wheel drive will come in quite handy. So the pricing, what I feel is that the base variant S all-wheel drive, if you are not wanting a lot of features, because the base variant would have a 7-inch infotainment screen, but it would have the all-wheel drive, so all the basic 1.5 liter engine, turbocharged, all of that is provided, and all-wheel drive. So that's a good option to choose for. But don't forget, because the kicks, the top variant nearly comes in at $36,000. So at that price, you can get a small SUV instead of the compact SUV. But if you want something which is mildly loaded, or let's say decently loaded, then the mid variant SV Moonroof or the SV Premium is something to go for. But it's definitely a better car, but I just still feel that the engine, the longer runs, the turbocharger might get stressed out for daily usages. That's my only concern, but only time will tell how reliable these 1.5 liter turbocharged engines would last on this new Rogue. But otherwise, in terms of the styling, in terms of the comfort, in terms of the poshness inside, this car definitely has everything going for it. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Give this video a thumbs up by pressing that thumbs up button on the sides. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.